Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us on another edition of the Primetime Newscast on Equinox Television. We are live from Equinox Central News Desk in Douala, Cameroon. In this edition of the news, President Paul Biya of the Republic of Cameroon has ordered the discontinuance of proceedings pending before military tribunals across Cameroon against some 333 Anglophones arrested within the context of the crisis in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon, and 9 other Amazonian fighters dropped their weapons today shut up at the Grand National Dialogue venue in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé. But Minister Issa Chiroma Bakare, speaking to Equinox Television, think that they saw that Cameroonians were determined to defend territorial integrity with the last drop of their blood and had no choice than to drop their weapons. Those are the top stories. Details in the minutes ahead. Thanks for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. We'll go straight to the nation's political capital, Yaoundé, where Babila Jonathan is standing by at the venue for the major national dialogue.
The major national dialogue has been going on. It's the fourth day, and the major news of this day is the head of state decision to stop judicial proceedings against 333 of the Anglophone crisis. And of course, the President of the Republic signed that decree today, and in the days ahead, the names of those who are on that list will be known. Will Sisiku, Ayuktabe, and the 9 Anglophone leaders, will Mancho BBC and the others be part of that list? That will be known in the days ahead when the list will be released. And of course, the minister delegate at the presidency in charge of defense, Joseph Betia Somo, and other judicial authorities are in charge of implementing this decision. And I'm here with one of the participants at the major national dialogue, Professor Willibrod Zingwa. Prof, you heard the news. As every other person here at the Yaoundé Conference Center, the Prime Minister announced the head of state's decision to release or stop judicial proceedings against 333 detainees of the Anglophone crisis, and there was some sort of an explosion of joy in the hall. What's your take on this news?
Well, I think it is a wonderful news. I think I should say we are grateful for all the families who were affected. We are happy for those who have been released, and we think that it is a welcome relief. It comes in time when Cameroonians are dialoguing amongst each other, and we think that this should be the beginning. Our wish is that we should go on to release everybody who is connected to the current crisis, because of course we have said that they are releasing 333 persons who have had minor crimes connected to the crisis. This would mean that some people who are considered to have had major crimes, major actors, will still remain in jail. Our wish is that the release should come on and on so that Cameroonians can be able to actually enjoy this dialogue with some serenity.
What can possibly explain this decision of the head of state at the time when the you people, participants, religious, political, civil society, and all other authorities and personalities are coming from different parts of the country, meeting here, discussing this Anglophone crisis, and this is the 4th day, and the decision is coming now?
Well, I think that the first instance, the very first announcement of the head of state that there would be dialogue was a welcome relief, because it actually validated the issue that there was an Anglophone problem, and it should have vindicated, permitted the head of state to consider that if he announces that they should dialogue because of a problem, then this problem really existed. I think that this should have tickled him to consider, releasing some of these Cameroonians, and we wish, I think the strong wish is that all those who are connected to the Anglophone crisis, I'm talking about the Sisekos and his group, should be released. And there should be general amnesty as well in order to pacify Cameroonians. Because if we do not pacify Cameroonians, we are going to move on and suffer the same crisis. But let us realize that it is a welcome relief. We have to be able to congratulate the head of state for a timely decision, but we should say we need more. All others connected to the crisis should be released. They should have general amnesty for all of those connected to the crisis so that Cameroonians could be able to think one again.
This is the third time the President of the Republic is taking this decision, and today we are talking about over close to 600 detainees of the Anglophone crisis who have been set free, and you were talking about pacifying Cameroonians. How far can this decision pacify Cameroonians and the participants at the major national dialogue here, especially those who are having very rigid stance on some issues?
Well, the rigid stance are from both sides of the divide, and that is why the dialogue should bring people from extreme positions to realize that it is not important to be in extreme positions. Now let us realize that the government herself has been in one extreme position by insisting on certain things, and of course those who want the restoration of the state of West Cameroon or Southern Cameroon, some of them have equally had some extreme positions. So the dialogue should have been able to bring us to some middle point, and that middle point is these people had genuine reasons to resist. They had genuine reasons to complain, and the president has realized that they had reasons, and he has considered that it were important we have these releases in order to build back some internal cohesion in Cameroon. That is my hope.
At the level of the decentralization committee or commission, there were heated debates there on various issues, decentralization, federalism, and so on. And at the end of the day, there seemed to be an agreement between the participants in that commission that the Northwest and the Southwest regions should be given a special status. Do you think this is going to solve the problem? What should it look like? What should be the content of this status?
That is what I mean when I say that the state herself has stood in a very extreme position by not putting all the cards on the table. I should have wanted that even secession should be discussed and concrete reasons be given to convince secessionists why they would not want them to secede, or why they themselves will be convinced or not thinking about secession. Now let me realize that it is not an innovation. It is just for people who are ignorant of the Constitution. Let us realize that Article 62 of the Constitution says that we can have special status given to particular region based on their specificities. So this is not an innovation, and that is not what the Anglophones cried for. The Anglophones actually wanted a return to that state which existed before reunification, or at least to the state that existed before 1972. Right? So that would be a federal status quo, and to deny the issuance of that status quo might not augur well with many of Anglophones. And let me do a point of correction. It was not unanimously agreed that the special status be given to Anglophones. I should consider it to be some imposition in a manner, because he had heated debates, and he needed a wise man, Akame Fumu, former minister, to be able to revisit this constitution, this article of the constitution, to redirect the attention of the participants. But the greatest majority, I'm sure that if we had to pass for a vote, the greatest majority would have been against this position. But the dialogue was important because it opened a window of hopes for Cameroonians. If we have started dialoguing today, that should be the beginning of a whole process of dialogue, and we do hope that many changes would come forth so that Cameroonians can be able to live in peace again.
Thanks for your reaction. That was Professor Zingwa Willibrod reacting there, and we're going to take the reaction of one of the female participants at this major national dialogue here in the Yaoundé Conference Center. The head of state just decided to release 333 detainees of the Anglophone crisis, and of course setting the pace, according to some persons, for the way out of the Anglophone crisis. What's your reaction to this news?
I think that is a very plausible.
The camera.
That is a very plausible action that is taken by the head of state. When we speak of values, I've been hearing this all through this week: the restoration of our cultural values as Africans, as Cameroonians. Forgiveness is one of them. Love, and I think that is a very good step towards peace, because we cannot talk about peace, we cannot talk about human, and that's a step of humility. for him to have really done that. We cannot talk about unity without humility. And I want to encourage each of our leaders, those that represent him in the offices, in the ministries, in the delegations, to begin to follow such footsteps, to have a humble spirit when even the circumstances show that you don't need to. He could decide to keep them there, but he has decided to humble himself and to take a step of forgiveness and love, and take this action towards peace. It's a very plausible action.
Do you think it's going to help to bring the northwest and the southwest regions back to normalcy, back to peace? I
very hope it should, because I want to assure my people of the northwest and southwest region, and I'm speaking from a spiritual perspective because I'm also a very spiritual person. I believe a lot in the Almighty Yahweh Himself and what He has spoken over this nation. I want to assure you guys that there is hope, and that what I've heard, the other day I was in my commission was education. I heard, the restoration of spiritual and moral values that link us, to the patriarchs. They left a very rich heritage that, has a values and principles that were guided by the Almighty Himself. And all of us should allow ourselves and our hearts to be ruled by a spirit of forgiveness and peace, because we cannot go forward. Unity is one of the greatest things that can take a nation forward and any people. Personally, that is one of the things that has guided my life. If I've succeeded, I want to even encourage, especially one of the things we discussed was about potentials for young people. Unity, partnerships, networking. So those are the values that we are talking about. Those are the things that would help us to go forward. So I want to encourage us to, take these steps and these values that we are talking about. Let's allow our hearts to calm down. Let's forget the past. None of us are perfect. I mean,
you came all the way from the northwest region for this, from the southwest region. Yes.
Yes, I have been here for a while to expand my activities, and when I heard about the dialogue, it was a good opportunity. I've been very involved in a lot of humanitarian activities, going to the bushes to visit the IDPs, empowerment activities in Boya for IDPs that have left from the other regions around the southwest. And when I saw this opportunity, I was like, I have to make my opinion known. I have to give my own condition, my own contribution, because there are a lot of things that I began to realize after this crisis began, where the root causes and I thank God that most of the things that I heard here, especially from Prince Ndumbe, I was moved to tears when I heard him talking about some of the things that I've been working on, even in the book that I'm writing. So
You're confident that we are moving towards the right direction.
I'm very confident, and my hope, my trust is in what Yahweh will do for this nation.
All right.
Even in what our leaders, because I believe that He's at work.
Thank you very much.
I've seen here is Him at work.
Thanks very much for your reaction. We are live from the Yaoundé Conference Center, where a plenary is going on right now, chaired by the Prime Minister, Chief Dr. Joseph John Gote, and the different commissions have been presenting their reports, the resolutions, the recommendations, the proposals from the different commissions to find a way out of the Anglophone crisis and other socio-political problems affecting Cameroon. Over to you.
Abdullah Jonathan from the major national dialogue venue in Yaoundé, and the 333 Anglophones are benefiting from the special measure of the President of the Republic of Cameroon at a time when some health officials remain missing in the southwest region of Cameroon. They are missing within the context of the crisis hitting the northwest and southwest regions, as indicated by the Southwest Regional Delegate of Public Health, Dr. Ebunge Nanji, recently in Boya. Derek Jato attended the meeting that brought together key health sector stakeholders of the Southwest region. His report.
The health sector in the Southwest region counts her lost 11 health facilities, amongst which you have the Kumba District Hospital, the Bonge District Hospital, the Moyuka District Hospital, and the Akwaya District Hospital. The rest are health centers. So really vandalized.
Bringing the war into the hospital and transforming ward and theaters into battlefields has not only seen patients killed, some burnt alive, but also doctors and nurses have been casualties. And today some health personnel are still missing.
Missing health workers whose whereabouts we can't really trace for now. Some of them had had bodily injuries, and most of them have lost properties.
Converging on Boya for the traditional regional coordination meeting under the theme Health Care Delivery within the context of the socio-political crisis that brought together administrative head of hospitals, health centers and other partners operating in the Southwest region. Dr. Ebongo Zacchaeus Nanje, Southwest Regional Delegate of Public Health, in her opening address, thanked his collaborators for their tenacity, especially those working in hard-to-reach zones, hard to reach because of the war.
First of all, I'm congratulating them for braving the odds and for taking the medical profession, the paramedical profession as a vocation, first of all, and for all their sacrifices, and that they should continue in that vein.
And to the people of the Southwest region, they should be calm, for their hospitals that were destroyed will soon be reconstructed.
All the health facilities which were vandalized, we are having some signals that in the days ahead those health facilities will be either refurbished or constructed. And of recent, the Honorable Minister of Public Health has redeployed medical doctors who have been sent to all the health facilities in the Southwest region. Midwives have been posted to hospitals and health centers.
From when bullets started flying into hospitals, the international community has not also stopped condemning this gross violation of human rights and human life.
Pressmen and women covering the major national dialogue in Yaoundé were today taken by surprise when, in the course of a press briefing by the spokesperson of the major national dialogue, it was announced that some other 9 Amazonian fighters have deposited their arms and took the road from the northwest region to arrive in Yaoundé straight to the venue in the conference center in Yaoundé. The announcement was made by the spokesperson George Iwane, who went further to allow the leader of the 9 ex-combatants to speak. He spoke in the following excerpt.
I thank God for the governor of the Northwest and his collaborators, that they have been working day and night to see that peace return to Northwest as normal. Now, as we here have come for the dialogue, we believe that as the head of state have forgiven us and take us back as the prodigal son, we will help the government to see that peace should return to this country. Thanks be to God and thanks be to our section president, Tamfo Mingala Gerard, that he has been working so much in Dongamatu, restlessly. I can only shoot you.
It's okay.
So many people have gone. Our sisters have gone. Property. Let this dialogue be inclusive and sincere. Please, you people should not abandon us again. Look where we find ourselves today. But I know that God will see us through. Thank you very much.
And the group from the Northwest region, like those who presented themselves, even on day one of the major national dialogue, indicated that they took up arms against the government of Cameroon because of what they say a marginalization of Anglophones in Cameroon. More in the second excerpt of the spokesperson of the 9.
I'm popularly known as Aluma. They call me Aluma. This is the long-awaited day that we have been waiting for, that we have been fighting for. At a time like this, with mixed feelings, I'm talking with tears in my eyes. We are your children. We went to the bush. You people abandoned us. We feel that we were maltreated as Anglophone. We thought that fighting the government will solve the problem. But thank God that today God has touched our heart, our government, we as individuals. The national dialogue has been called. Though we are standing here with blood on our hands, our brothers have been killed, the both sides. Property have been damaged. What then can we say? We only say, God, help us. And we pray for the government to forgive us. We have sinned against God. We have sinned against the nation. We are sorry. Take us back as your children. We were your children. The government abandoned us. Some people from the diaspora, they doctrine us because we feel that we were abandoned, and we listen to that advice. Look where we find ourselves today. But thank God for this long-awaited day that we have been fighting for.
Anissa Chiroma Bakari, Cameroon's one-time Minister of Communication and current Minister of Employment and Vocational Training, indicated that these youths from the two English-speaking regions of Cameroon saw that Cameroonians were determined to defend territorial integrity with the last drop of their blood and had no choice but to join the the dialogue in Yaoundé and equally drop their arms. He spoke to Babila Jonathan.
First of all, I want to emphasize the fact that this dialogue, which is long overdue, has arrived at due time. In my capacity as the chairman of political party, also the head of state collaborator, I want to congratulate whoever is involved in the process of sensitization. You see, our kids in the northwest and southwest who are in the bush today, they have been misled by people who keep always repeating the same thing. This fight is going to come to an end within 2 months. So come with us, let us resort to gun, and we will compel the regime into giving up and to accept cessation. Unfortunately, 3 years later, not only nothing as such came, but I seized this opportunity to emphasize and to confirm that the last Cameroonian is ready to shed the last drop of his blood in order to keep this nation united.
And speaking equally of what they discussed at the level of one of the commissions in Yaoundé, Al-Hajj Lawan Bako, who is equally a political leader in Cameroon, indicated that their commission agreed that Cameroon should be named the United Republic of Cameroon as it used to be. Listen to Bako Lawan in this excerpt.
We have deliberated on the serious issues of this country to see that the country return back to normality. And that is why in this commission, I for one presented the idea of renaming the country's appellation the United Republic of Cameroon, so that it suits with our cultural heritage. And I'm happy to know that members of the Commission have adopted the idea of our country name to be returned as United Republic of Cameroon. And thereafter, we have also presented a point where the Anglophone must be protected in the Constitution.
And a huge contingent of Indian hymns has been seized in Fumban in the Nun division of the West region of Cameroon and destroyed. Smart Jikangebra tells us more in the following report.
From a distant view of this lorry, one will think all is well. Getting closer, it is a lorry loaded with Indian herbs seized by a joint security control in Fumban, Nun division of the West region. It is a missed operation by the security unit of Nun division. And talking about the gendarmerie, we caught 1.5 tons of Indian herbs. The seized herbs that has been evaluated at 3,830 kilograms, approximately 4 tons, was later destroyed. In the presence of security and judicial officials. It's not the first time. 6 months ago, we destroyed what we had seized. Whenever we seize, we burn them, since we can't continue keeping them in our stores because it suffocates us. The consumption of Indian herbs in Nun has become alarming, with mostly the youth involved, reasons why the administrative officials are now appealing to the population to collaborate with security officials in an attempt to curb this old habit. We are in a transit zone. It is a seizure that involves other subdivisions bordering Nun. It is not only our problem, but nationwide also. Since the arrival of Japa Idrisu at the helm of the Legion office in Fumban, drug traffickers have lost sleep due to the joint efforts of security officials and the vigilante committee groups in Nun.
Inhabitants of Baya is a locality in the Bonamwa in the heart of the economic capital Douala, are running out of the area. They are running because of the high tide that has flooded the area, as Immaculate Fogwe tells us in the following report.
This is exactly the outcome of land reclamation, which is different from inundations provoked by heavy downpour. The floods has been caused by the high tides of the Baya River in Bonamwa, EQUINOXE littoral region of Cameroon. The inhabitants are blaming the cutting down of trees along the river as a root cause of their plights.
Nous avons des inondations régulièrement ici.
We are suffering every day due to the floods that we are experiencing. It coincides with works ongoing in the river. We came to understand that since works kick-started, we have been facing a problem causing tenants to leave the area. The cutting down of trees along the river by those working there is behind the floods. Our wish is that works there should stop and an environmentalist sent to the site so they can explain the impact of what they are doing.
Afin de voir l'impact que ces travaux-là auront dans leur vie. Voilà, parce que c'est quelque chose de très sérieux.
Depuis plus de 25 ans.
I have been living here for the past 25 years and we have never experienced such. Since works kick-started on that river, with trees being felled, we have been experiencing high tides. What hurts me most is that no one is interested with the suffering of the affected population. Yesterday, I went there to meet the authorities and they asked me to contact a belief. Is it normal? No. What I want is that works on that river should stop.
Pourquoi la population doit souffrir sans que quelqu'un ne lève un petit doigt pour arranger la situation?
These persons are calling on authorities to react fast in addressing the problem of floods in order to bring life to normal again in their locality.
Contrary to initial report on social media, the head coach of the Indomitable Lions of Cameroon, Antonio Conceição, is billed to sign his contract with the Cameroonian authorities today, as Innocent as tells us in the following report.
Many continue to think these images, which went viral on social media, was a contract being signed in a hotel room between Cameroon's sport minister and the new head coach of the Indomitable Lions of Cameroon. Unfortunately, it will be this Friday, October 4, 2019, that the football technician from Portugal will officially sign the contract to fully engage with the national football squad. From there, his project will be known, but it is certain that his first task will be to prepare the Indomitable Lions ahead of the 2021 AFCON that will be played in Cameroon. This preparation will pass through eliminatory games. Few months ago in Egypt, the Lions title holders were eliminated from the 2019 AFCON in the knockout stage. An elimination which resulted to the termination of Clarence Seedorf's contract with the national football team. It is hoped Antonio Conceição, with his experience, will right the wrongs to keep the Lions reaping more titles. His first test will be on the 12th of October in Rodez in a friendly match between Cameroon and Tunisia. It is only during signing of the contract at the Ministry of Sports and Physical Education that the duration of his contract shall be known.
And it is with that report that we end this edition of the Primetime Newscast on Equinox Television. We thank you for your very kind attention and wish you a blessed stay in the company of our programs on Equinox Television. Bye-bye.